Hi there. My name is John Stevens, pastor of Zion Lutheran Church in Oregon City, Oregon, and we are part of the ELCA. And welcome to Dollar Store Children's Sermons, where we take a look at the lectionary text and we tie them to an item from the Dollar Tree or the junk drawer, or the kids' room, or the garage. You know how we've been doing it. And thank you so much for being here and spending a little bit of your week, a little bit of your time with me in this way. So thank you. Oh, and by the way, you're rocking it. Yes, you are. Sometimes our congregations forget to tell us. Let me tell you that you are rocking it. Thank you for the love that you're sharing with your families and your kids and your congregations. Thank you. So, this is for the 13th Sunday after Pentecost, and both the second reading and the gospel are great for children's sermons, especially after last week's. I'm like, so yeah, last week was a hard week for me. It's still hard. If you didn't watch that, we had to put our Sunny dog down, and he crossed the Rainbow Bridge, 112 years old in human years, and it was a compassionate thing to do, but still, hearts broke. So I'm glad to have these texts because there's the springboards around. Now, this is gonna be primarily for the gospel, but if you do a search on the Dollar Store Children's Sermon website, you'll find that I've done stuff on the second reading, and the second reading, the body of Christ, making up the body of Christ. So there's a couple of different springboards for that. Dealing with a puzzle, and if the puzzle piece is missing, how we're all important to make up the full picture of Jesus. So there's that. I've also done this for the gospel lesson. So there's a couple others. When I give you this springboard, if you go, John, that stinks. You might, I don't know. But if you do, you can look in the back, look at back posts, and you can find one that's a different one. There's one I talk about a riddle using a glove and so things like that. So you can take a look at that. So the springboard, the item, what you're going to need is you're going to need some magazines. I know you probably can find them. If you can't find them around yourself, so you can actually ask some of your older members who remember what a magazine is. No, they're not all gone, but they're pretty close. But pictures, you want pictures. So you can even search the internet and find the pictures and print them out. But you're going to get a poster board, and you are going to create a robot test, or rather a Messiah test. You know the robot test, and if you have not seen Pete Holmes and his deal with the robot test, it's not Pete Holmes, John Mulaney. Pete Holmes is another great comedian who does a great bit on, he has a lot of great bits, but John Mulaney does a whole thing on the robot test. But you got your robot, you've got your poster board, and you can do 9, you've got that grid, and the images will be images of feeding people, images of maybe a jail cell with the door open. You have an image of visiting someone in assisted living, referencing maybe the widow. You've got images of activities that the Messiah does. And you could have a picture of your congregation worshiping, and different things like that. And so it's all based around that question, who am I? And so you get to the robot test. We're going to make sure that you're not a robot, so because a robot can't tell that there are 3 bicycles in this section in this grid. But so you lift that up and go, we're going to do the Messiah test. And you lift that up, and talking about all of the pictures in there are things that the Messiah was to do. And then in this text where people are saying this about you, or saying about this about you, and Jesus asks, so who do you say that I am? And that question, it's the Messiah test. And so, and maybe another springboard moment, using the same robot test, but the outskirts is almost like, you got the Brady Bunch. That's a reference, by the way, that dates me. But you can Google it if you have no idea what I'm talking about. But it's niche enough that I think you might actually you probably would, I don't know. Anyway, Brady Bunch, you got the opening scene, the grid, and they're all looking at each other and things like that. So you've got, on the outskirts, you've got all the things that remind you of what Jesus would do, or what we're called to do as the body of Christ in this world, tie back to Romans. And then in the center, have a non-traditional picture of Jesus. And by that I mean not the white Jesus that's standing there. And there, all you have to do is Google images of Jesus across the world. There's a wonderful Bible study that was put out a number of years ago, and I need to get not the reprinted, but the revision, the one that's been revised. It's called The Christ We Share, and in that they have images that artists have made depicting Jesus in different ways, and it is moving. I've used it in confirmation camp, I've used it in sermons. But anyway, so in that center you have a picture of Jesus, and it's a good time to actually use a different image of what we normally see as Jesus. You're not required to, of course you know that, but it helps. Representation helps, and to have that image of that's a picture of Jesus, a representation of Jesus. Get a 3x5 millimeter camera and take a picture of Jesus. Anyway, the idea of who do you say that I am? And then all of this stuff, and then the congregation points to Jesus, this points to Jesus, all of this points to Jesus about who Jesus is. All right, it's the Messiah test. It's not the robot test, it's the Messiah test. Hoping this can be useful for your own children's sermon. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your partnership in this ministry. Thank you for who you are. And I am so glad that God called you to this place. All right, peace. We will see you next week.